You guys, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, you need to. It's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome to Mimesis, a podcast about all the ways that art and life imitate each other. I'm Stacy Rourke.
And I'm Sandra Sheriff of Zachary.
And we're your hosts on this zany little adventure. And what an adventure the last week has been.
Oh my goodness. It's been great.
Yeah, it's great. That's the kind of great you say, like, through clenched teeth. It's great.
It's great.
Yeah. So we both had our medical issues this past week.
Yep.
I popped a surgery stitch, doing more than I should. And you, my lovely darling, why don't you tell the nice...
I possibly fractured my foot.
Possibly. And how did we do this?
I dropped a 10-foot 4x4 post onto my foot, trying to be womanly and I can do this by myself. And nope.
I don't need no man.
I don't need no man.
Turns out you might not have needed a man, but you did need another set of hands.
Yes. Can you take me to urgent care now, babe?
So you have black and blue toes.
All black and blue toes. The whole top of my foot. Yeah.
Awesome.
Walking on crutches the last few days.
Yeah, how's that going with a toddler? I'm sorry, I keep calling your son a toddler. He's not really a toddler. In my head, he forever will be. But
he's still technically a toddler, right? Because he's not in school yet, so he's not school age.
He toddles until he goes to school.
Yes.
All right.
He's only 4.
I'll take it. He'll toddle right up to the day he goes into the school.
Yep.
So is he being understanding about Mama having crutches?
Oh yeah, he's been pretty good. Yeah. Like he wants to help and bring me water, but at the same time, he's like, can you get me water? And I'm like, nobody. You got to get your own water.
He brings you water and then asks for you to go get him some.
Uh-huh.
That's adorable.
I mean, you know how
See
much
this
he drinks.
that I
he's
just...
like
Yeah, he is. He's a fish. See this nice gesture I just did for you? Now do it back for me.
Yep.
Yeah. I get that.
Yep.
Well, before we get started in today's episode, which is a doozy, we got a whole nother conversation to happen there. I have a small correction to make.
A little bitty.
Little bit. In our very first episode, in the Jaws episode, I said that the documentary about the making of Jaws was filmed in Martha's Vineyard. No, it was not.
No.
The movie Jaws was filmed in Martha's Vineyard.
Right.
And that's where Richard Dreyfuss was getting his groove on back in the 1970s, not years later as a happily married man talking about a movie he made.
So Mr. Holland's Opus was very clean.
Yeah, Mr. Holland's Opus is fine.
Yep.
He's not messing around. He's good. As far as I know. I don't know. He hasn't talked to me about anything he's doing, so I'm just going to assume everything's fine there.
Yeah.
But I did need to make that correction because I felt pretty bad about it. We also need to say that we are starting to get submissions in for our creepy slumber party games episode that we want to do.
Yes. Keep them coming, please.
Exactly. The creepier, the better. Yes.
Yeah. Facebook us or email us them.
And what do you have those links handy?
Facebook / the Mimesis Podcast.
Very good.
And then the email is themimesispodcast@gmail.com.
And Instagram? I'm totally quizzing you right now. There you go.
Podcast. It like messes me up because we did the one with no the.
And the only one that is no the is our website.
Right. Mimesispodcast.com.
Yes, everything else is the Mises podcast. But if you, as a young person, or I don't care, full grown, I don't care. If you were ever playing a crazy, creepy slumber party game, Bloody Mary, what are some of the others? Ouija
Stiff as a
board,
board.
light as a feather, stiff as a board, and something creepy,
Yeah.
scary, funny happened, we want to hear your story. So send it in to us and let us know if we can say your name in a broadcast, and we might just share your story if we can
Yes.
get enough tales put together and compare them to how those same things appear in movies and TV.
Yeah.
I've seen a few that like the people end up vomiting snakes in the middle of
Oh,
such
I have not
things.
seen that, and I don't need to.
That would be it for me playing games of any kind for the rest of my life. I don't care if it's Twister. If I vomit a snake at any point, I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm not playing games
You
anymore.
hate snakes so much.
I do. Deeply, deeply.
Yeah.
All right. I think that is all we had in the way of business for today. Unless
think
I'm missing
so.
something.
I don't know. I don't think I'm missing anything.
Okay. So I don't think we've even hinted yet about what this episode is going to be about.
I think we did, but I don't remember.
Well, it was supposed to be a mini episode.
Right.
It was supposed to be a mini episode about the show American Horror Story.
Oh, I love this show so much.
I do too. And then I started researching all the historical elements that have gone into this show. Sandra, I have 8 pages of notes in front of me.
Oh, yay.
So
I feel bad with my little half-page notes.
I went big on this, and I learned so much stuff that I had no idea of. So much of this blew my mind. Like there's some things when you watch the show that jump out at you and you're like, oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
a tribute to this. Like I got those, but there's so much stuff that is deeper in that I completely missed, and I can't wait to share it with all of you.
Did you go like season by season?
I did.
Yay.
I did. I did.
Okay.
I have been working on this for so long. Now, some seasons, as you'll see, get a little bit more love than others.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But
We're not gonna mention season 6, right?
oh, we might get a mention, but it's gonna be brief.
Like,
Yeah.
what was your favorite season?
Oh, see, I knew you were going to ask me that, and that's so
Uh-huh.
hard for me. I think it was probably Coven.
Okay.
I loved Coven, and you know what? It might just be because Stevie Nicks was in it.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Was it
Oh,
Stevie Nicks? Because that's
it's-
who it was for me.
The soundtrack and her as the White Witch being
Yes.
there, it was just so beautifully done that I loved that season. But you know, I have a lot of favorites, and once I started researching this, the amount of history that I found that the writers put into this, it made me appreciate the show even more,
Oh,
because
I'm
these
excited.
writers, like, they went all in, and I completely appreciate them doing their research on this. It's mind-boggling.
Okay. I'm excited to hear it.
All
Okay,
right.
my favorite was
Yes.
like my absolute favorite is between 2. I
Okay.
cannot pick. It's Murder House and The Hotel.
Yes. Murder House is the one that started it all, and
Yeah.
Hotel is just, it's
I
so
can't
beautiful.
pick.
It's so
Yeah.
beautiful. And you've got Lady Gaga in Hotel, and that's before anybody knew that she could act. And she
Right.
came in and like blew the roof off the place.
Right.
She
Like,
was
I remember watching it with my husband, and he's like, "Oh, Lady Gaga," and by the end, he's like, "Ooh, Lady Gaga, yes."
yes. She was fantastic. Oh, I
Yes.
love her. But
Yes.
then again,
Okay.
she's shown herself to be so amazing that, yes, I will consider
Yeah.
myself one of her little monsters. I'm totally fine with that.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Okay.
Can I meet her, please?
Yes. Yes. I don't know. I don't have the power to authorize that. But
Darn
yes, sure. Absolutely. Okay. So are we ready to get started?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so let's dig in with Murder House.
Yay.
Now, do you remember on Murder House the scene, I think it's in episode 2, where the nurses are murdered?
Yes.
Okay. In the episode, 2 nurses are stabbed and drowned by a random stranger, which then leaves their spirits behind to haunt the house like so many other spirits that are trapped there.
Wasn't it like 36 of them?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was based on the crimes of Richard Speck, who raped, tortured, and murdered 8 nurses in their Chicago dormitory.
Okay.
A manhunt ensued in search of Speck. He was captured 2 days later and spent the rest of his life in prison. Unfortunately, that wouldn't be a very long stay. In 1991, at the age of 49, he suddenly died of a heart attack. But yes.
I thought you were going to say they let him out.
Oh, no. I mean, he died, but he wasn't in there very long. I am one of those weirdos that, like, if they get arrested and charged with life, I want it to be a long, torturous life because they deserve it. So, yeah. So that was the first one, the murdered nurses. Now, the second one, I'm pretty sure everybody knows, and that's the Black Dahlia that appears in season 1. They showed Elizabeth Short, just as she was, an actress in the 1940s looking for fame. She was brutally murdered with her body chopped in half and a permanent smile carved across her face.
Yep.
Played by the stunning, absolutely stunning Mina oh my gosh, I'm going to say her name wrong. Survari? Is that right? Does that sound right?
I don't know.
Survari? Mina Survari?
I think so.
Okay. She visits a dentist by the name of Dr. David Corin. Unfortunately, she doesn't have the money to pay for his services, so she seduces him to do the work at no cost. She thinks she's coming out of this, on the upside. No. Instead, Dr. Corin decides to put her under with nitrous oxide and rape her.
Oh, goodness.
But when he takes the mask off, he realizes she dies of an overdose. He then drags her body to the basement where the spirit of Charles Montgomery, who is the guy that built the murder house in the first place for his wife, claims to be a renowned surgeon and offers to help. Instead, he inflicts the mutilations that identify her as the Black Dahlia, cut in half, the big smile. Not knowing what else to do, the dentist, David Corin, dumps her body in a vacant lot. Unfortunately, that storyline allows more closure for the real Dahlia than Elizabeth Short herself ever got. Her case is notorious in Hollywood and remains unsolved. Who drained Elizabeth's body of blood before scrubbing her clean and dumping her body remains a mystery. That said, and I didn't know this at all, in 2013, we got closer to unraveling that mystery than ever before. Retired police sergeant Paul Dosty, author Steve Hodel, and a police dog named Buster investigated the home of Hodell's own father, Dr. George Hill Hodel. Now, Dr. George Hill Hodel has long been a suspect in Elizabeth's murder. After an extensive search of the doctor's home, Buster the dog detected the scent of decomp in several areas of the basement.
Oh, wow.
In addition to this, Steve Hodel offered up a recording of his father saying, quote, "Supposing I did kill the Black Dahlia, they couldn't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary because she's dead." Dude, what did his secretary know?
Right.
There's so many questions.
What did you do?
Yeah.
Why is she dead?
Like, oh my gosh. He heard his dad say this, and instead of having loyalty to dad, he's like, no, I need to know what happened here, if he's part of this at all.
Yeah.
And hearing your parents say, you hear your parents say something like that, you're going to be like, what now?
What? You crazy?
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I go in the basement a lot. If there's something buried there, I'd really like you to tell me about it.
I'm out. I'm leaving.
Exactly. For sure. So yeah, I had no idea about any of that with the Black Dahlia, but
No.
that's one of those cases that I'm very fascinated by. Just
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and
I
it's one
think
of
I
those
listened to
ones,
that one on My Favorite Murder like 4 or 5 times.
and there's a very high likelihood that we'll never know the answer.
Oh, yeah. I don't see us ever finding that out in our lifetimes.
No,
I would
because
be very happy if we could.
yeah, that's one of
But
those ones that I think it's gonna die with everybody that was involved in that case in any
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Okay, now this next one is going to be a little bit of a trigger warning for you, my darling Sandra.
Yeah.
Sandra, I do it every time.
You
Sandra.
do.
And that is Tate Langdon from season 1.
Yeah.
The mass shooting that he was involved with.
Yes.
That was inspired by the Columbine school massacres. You might remember in that season that he asked one of the students if he believed in God before he shot them.
Yeah.
That was exactly what was asked of Casey Barnell before she was killed during the Columbine shootings. And honestly, those crimes happen way too often in our country.
Way too often.
Yes, every day. So we are going to move right past Murder House and on to Asylum. Whew, there was a lot of dark stuff in Asylum. Do you remember that season?
Oh, I remember it. I really liked the season, but I did not like how they ended it.
Yeah, I agree.
There was so much buildup, and then they just aliens. And I was like, really? No.
Big drama. Aliens. That's how that went. Yeah, I agree. I don't think aliens didn't need to be in that season either.
No.
If without that, it would have been a masterpiece, but I did not agree with the alien part.
I actually watched it with my friend Nicole, and
hi Nicole, we love you.
She was so excited because she makes fun of me. I liked Maroon 5. She does not like him, and she was like, this is the best season ever because they kill Adam Levine in the first 5 seconds.
They did, in a very gruesome way too. Okay, well, in that season, you probably remember Dr. Arden.
Yes, played by Evans, right?
No, not Evan Peters. Evan Peters was he was one of the
Oh yeah, he was one of the patients.
Yes. Dr. Arden was the monstrous character that had ties with the Nazis.
That's right.
Yes. He was based on SS officer Joseph Mengele, who was a physician at Auschwitz. I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing that. It's a German name, and I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, but I'm doing my best. So there, he performed gruesome experiments on his so-called patients.
Yep.
He was incredibly partial to experimenting on children. Who were put into pressure chambers, tested with drugs, castrated, and frozen.
Wasn't it like twins?
Oh,
like he was really fascinated by twins?
He was very fascinated with twins. But even before we get to his fascination with twins, we need to give his murder count, because he okayed the death. He ordered the death of over 400,000 people.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's like genocide.
It absolutely is. There's no other word for it. And like you said, he was fascinated by twins. His favorite thing to do was to use chloroform to kill them and then dissect them piece by piece to see if every part of them was identical.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
It's disgusting. Um, there's no way we can read all the names of his victims. 400,000 is
No.
just too many. But all I can say about this guy is I sincerely hope he's roasting on a spit in hell. That's
Oh, yeah.
that's really all I can say about him. He's
Yeah.
disgusting. Now, to my surprise, and I don't know if you knew this, the character of Lana Winters was also based on a real person.
Really?
Yes. She was the reporter, remember, who
Yeah.
ended up in the asylum. She was based on a woman named Nellie Bly, who feigned a mental illness to gain admission to a mental facility and expose the cruel and unethical treatment of patients in there.
Wow.
Her hands-on approach is believed to be the beginning of what we know today to be investigative journalism.
Okay.
So good for her. I'm not sure I would make the sacrifice to go into an insane asylum for my for a story.
No. I watched too many movies about what they used to do.
Exactly.
I'm good.
I need to be sure I can get out before I agree
Right.
to go in. That's
Right.
Yeah.
And I
Now,
don't want them to pretend that I have something and then they won't ever let me out.
Exactly. That would be my fear is, okay,
Yeah.
I need to know for sure that I can get out once I go in here.
Right.
Like I need a string tied around my ankle that if I tug at it, somebody's going to come rushing in and save me. Otherwise, I'm not going in. No. Now, you probably remember Dr. Thredson was the psychotic killer from that season. He
Yeah.
was played by the same actor that plays Dr. Spock in the new Star Trek movies. What's his name? Zachary. Oh my gosh, what is it? Zachary. It starts with a Q. Go ahead. Google it. I'll tap dance and wait for you to do that.
Zachary
What is it?
Quinto?
There you go. Quinto, yes. He played this part beautifully. And he was also in Murder House as the couple that
The gay couple.
Yeah, the couple that they
Yes.
had the big leather suit. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like they portrayed, oh my goodness, what is his name? Neil Patrick Harris.
Yes.
Because they did the whole Halloween thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like they do the Halloween right.
Yeah, yes. Neil Patrick Harris and his husband and their 2 kids. When they
Yes.
Halloween right. And it's amazing.
Yes, and that's where I feel like that they kind of took that with that couple in Murder House and like made them be like the
Halloween
be all
couple.
end all Halloween.
Except they had a miserable marriage, and Neil and his husband seem to have a very nice
Yes.
marriage. So let's
Yes.
hope it continues that way. They're a beautiful family. Okay, well, this serial killer, as portrayed in Asylum, decorated his home with the skin and bones of his victims. The idea for this character was based off killer Ed Gein, who skinned and dismembered all of his victims.
Ugh.
This dude was so gnarly. He was the inspiration behind Psycho, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and The
Wow.
Silence of the Lambs.
Wow. Like
How-
it sounded like Texas Chainsaw, but I did not know the other 2.
Well, the reason for the Psycho tie-in is that when police stormed his home and they found they searched his home because there was a woman missing. They found lampshades made of human faces and chairs upholstered with skin, aka Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. But upon questioning him, he told police that all of this was an effort to resurrect his mother, who had been dead for years. So, like, there was your tie into Psycho.
Mm-hmm.
How freaking nuts do you have to be to inspire 3
Horror movies
with your actions? Wow.
Crazy nuts.
Yeah, you have to be a very high level of crazy to inspire that many movies. And I don't think that's something you should shoot for.
No.
That's a goal no one should have. All right, so we've got through 2 seasons. Now we're on to my personal favorite, Coven. this season, we met Madame Lalaurie, who was played by Kathy Bates.
Yes.
And everybody freaking hated her, but they were supposed to.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
But it was based off a true thing.
Exactly. Madame Lalaurie was a New Orleans socialite who tortured and murdered all those enslaved to her in the early 1800s. In 1834, a fire broke out in the French Quarter where she lived. Neighbors rushed outside to offer aid and were shocked to see only Lalaurie outside by herself. Do you know why?
She killed everybody.
No. A mansion that size without the presence of slaves was a shocking affair. So all of the locals that were there took it upon themselves to venture inside of her residence, thinking that, well, surely her staff must be trapped in the flames. What they found in there was far more gruesome than them just being stuck inside.
Oh, no.
Yeah. In the attic, they found slaves that were in various stages of torture. Eyes gouged out, skin flayed, mouths filled with excrement and sewn shut.
Ugh.
Yeah. When what she had been doing was discovered, an outraged mob came after her. She escaped to France with her family and lived in exile there until her death, never having truly paid for her crimes.
Ugh.
Isn't that horrible?
That's absolutely horrible.
Like, it makes you like the TV version better because at least there she got a little bit of karma.
Yeah.
Let's just go with that. Let's just pretend that's what happened. It's fine. We saw it on TV. Yeah. We can pretend. There's people every day that pretend what happened on TV is real.
Every damn day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But where there's Lalaurie, there is also the voodoo queen, Marie Laveau. Oh,
I loved her.
Angela Bassett is a queen. Oh my gosh. To look like her at that age, she's just gorgeous. Well, the real Marie was every bit the strong, caring Black woman as they portrayed her on the show. Between the years 1820 and 1860, she was a prominent voodoo queen at that time. This was during the age of segregation, and the white community saw what she was doing as an act of the occult. The Black community, however, viewed her as a knowledgeable healer and an herbalist. For decades, she performed spiritual ceremonies of faith and healing every Sunday in the Congo Square, which is one of the few places that people of color were allowed to gather in the oppressed city. Laveau's mother was a freed slave, while her father, get this, was a multiracial businessman who bought and sold real estate and slaves.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I have to believe that caused a whole lot of resentment in the family. Like,
oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, not even a little, a lot.
Yeah. There had to be some animosity there. Well, Laveau did much more with her life than lead voodoo ceremonies. Unlike Madame Lalaurie, she did things to benefit her community, such as caring for yellow fever patients, posting bail for women of color, and visiting condemned prisoners to pray with them in their final hours. She died June 15th, 1881, after which her life was celebrated in newspapers far beyond the reaches of New Orleans. I love that.
Yes.
I love that she was celebrated while Lalaurie had to hide in exile in some little dinky town somewhere.
Yeah.
I like to pretend it's a dinky town. I'm sure she was not suffering for money, but I'm going to pretend that she was.
Yeah.
Now, the next name on the list, some people that have read any of my books, this one might be a little familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Papa Legba is based on a true person of legend. In voodoo culture, he is the intermediary between the living and the dead, just like he was on the show. He was a very powerful figure, to be sure. And he's also a main character in a certain series that I wrote.
I actually just put that connection together today.
You were today years old when you figured that
I was
out.
today years old when I figured that out. And by the way, you have to go read Stacy's book. It's called The Corpse Queen, the Death Digger series. There's 4 books out in that series now.
There's 3 right now. Number 4 will be out Monday. May
Monday.
10th. Monsters and
Yes.
Mayhem is the 10th one coming out.
Yes, I'm so excited about that one.
Yes.
I can't
Papa
wait.
Legba is not in that one, but
No.
something we've mentioned in this episode, we mentioned Psycho a little bit, and there are tie-ins to that storyline a little bit.
Yes.
So if you like
Yes.
haunted hotels, this next chapter is going to be right up your alley.
I've read all 3 of them and absolutely 100% amazing.
Thank you.
Go get them.
And I didn't even have to pay her to say that.
No, you didn't.
Wait, you know you're not getting paid to say that, right?
I know. I told you. You're like,
Wait,
seriously?
what? I'm not?
This is where people are going to find out that you watch a lot of shows and movies and write all your books. I read a lot of books, and you are literally one of my favorite authors.
Aw, thank you.
Like, I tell you that all the time,
I
and
know. I appreciate it.
I really mean it.
You're so sweet. And I love you. So, that works well.
I love you
for us.
too.
Okay. Enough of us blubbering. Where were we? I even put here in my notes, shameless self-promotion aside, let's get back.
Back to Legba.
I knew
That's
we
where
were
we
going to get
left
off
off.
the rails there. Actually, the next one up is the Axeman. Do you remember the Axeman? X-Man?
No.
Oh, he was the Supreme's lover. He played the saxophone.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember the Axeman? They were so hot
No.
together. Anyways, you need to go back and rewatch this because
I think I do.
You do. He was quite the groovy killer. He was a musician and proven killer who targeted New Orleans between 1918 and 1919. He broke into homes in the dead of night and attacked the family with an axe. While these attacks were vicious, there were a few lucky victims who were wounded and not killed. All the others met a grisly fate. Much like on the show, he wrote a letter to the local newspaper and threatened to kill everyone on a specific night who didn't have jazz music playing from their house.
Everyone.
Everyone. Either play jazz music or I'm bursting into your house and killing you. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a party or die mentality that 21-year-old me would have completely gotten behind. At this age I currently am, I would have earplugs in and an eye mask on. And listen, I will turn the music on, but I need to be asleep by a reasonable hour.
Right.
But yeah, so the Axeman was absolutely real. He was a real person.
Crazy.
And you need to go back and watch that season so you know who I'm talking about.
I do. I remember certain episodes of it.
Did
but
you ever,
I don't.
Did you ever
remember
watch
that one.
Have you watched any of Yellowstone?
No.
Girl. Okay,
I
well,
know
the guy
I'm
that
telling
played
you,
the
I'm
Axeman was on the Yellowstone too, but
Yeah.
that doesn't help.
You and somebody else told me recently that we needed to watch that, but I feel this is where I need to stop. My husband's like, "Oh, you need to wait for me so we can watch these together." I need to just be like, "No, I'm going to watch it by myself."
Yeah.
Because I end up waiting and waiting and waiting, and then we never watch it.
Okay, well, just get better at faking it. You don't have to tell him that you watched it.
I cannot lie. My
I'm
face.
not telling you to lie. I'm telling you to fake it.
That sounds terrible.
No. I'm saying if you're this far into your marriage and you've never had to fake anything, I feel the need to high five you. However, when it comes to viewing programs and being able to watch them with him later, just learn how to fake it. Fake your enthusiasm. Just gasps, clutch your
Okay.
pearls, gasp. That's all you have to do. It's fine. And the next time I see your husband, I'm gonna high five him because good for him that you don't know how to fake anything.
I don't.
All right. Now let's move on to Freak Show. There's so much to cover in this particular season. Oh my
Freak
gosh.
Show scared me.
Yeah. There was a lot of creepy stuff in there. And probably the number one thing that I'm going to lead with, I'm guessing, was one of the things that scared you the most. And that's Twisty the Clown.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember, but when we moved to Michigan, I had a little toy porcelain clown that I loved. And then, like, the minute that we moved into our new house, it was like, I hated it and I was terrified. And, like, I made it stay in my mom's room, which was on the entirely opposite side of the house. I was like, no, I never want to see that thing again.
I'm pretty sure this thing's going to come alive at night and kill
Uh-huh.
me. Here, Mom, hold it.
Yeah. It was like stuffed, but it had like the glass head, the glass feet, the glass hands, and it just, I felt like it turned its head all the way around.
Oh, no.
Yeah. That's what I was
Yeah.
like, nope.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That's scary as all crap.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think it's much of a surprise to learn that Twisty the Clown was based on John Wayne Gacy, who
Okay.
dressed as Pogo the fucking murder clown.
Damn clowns.
Yeah, this sicko raped and murdered at least 33 young men in Cook County, Illinois, and
Ugh.
was the inspiration for Twisty. Gacy then buried his victims' bodies in the crawl space under his house. Some killers keep trinkets, like the weirdo we talked about in The Lovely Bones.
Yeah.
Not Gacy. He kept the whole damn
He kept
corpse.
the bones.
He kept the whole damn corpse buried in his crawl space. Well, while Twisty went on to have a sad backstory that redeemed his character, Gacy did not. He was foul through and through, and he was put to death by lethal injection in 1994, and sayonara to him. Good riddance.
Yeah.
You creep. Now, I don't know. Do you have a favorite Evan Peters character from any of the American Horror Story seasons?
I really like him a lot.
He's so talented.
Like, when I first watched Murder House, I was like, oh, I like him in Murder House. Didn't care for him too much in Asylum.
Yeah.
Can't remember if he was in Coven. I remember he had
He
to take a
was.
break at one point.
In Coven was the one where he was in the bus that flipped, and they
Okay.
pieced him back together with all the best
That's
parts
right.
of all
Yeah.
the men of all the frat boys were on that bus.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
And then
He was Jimmy Darling in Freak Show.
that's right. He
was
lived in
Lobster Boy.
Lobster Hands.
Yeah.
And then Hotel, he was
The
brain is
hotel owner.
yeah, he was the crazy guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like him in everything. He like has a wide range of things that he can do.
Yeah. Well, in Freak Show, Jimmy Darling was kind of the heartthrob of that season.
Yes.
Well, he was based on a real character.
Really?
And the real
like a real person.
a real person whose name was Grady Stiller Jr. And Grady had a far different life. He was by no means the heartthrob.
Okay.
He was born with a congenital disorder that gave him claw-like hands. And he was part of the circus, just like Jimmy Darling was. And he had a
Okay.
drinking problem, which I think they kind of showed with Jimmy Darling
Yeah.
during that season. But that's where the similarities end. Stiller was a serial abuser who went on to murder his daughter's fiance in a mad fit
wow.
of rage. Yeah. So he was not a good guy. He was
No.
not the steamy love interest at all there. Now, if you've seen Freak Show or Asylum, you probably remember the sweet character of Pepper. Do you remember Pepper?
Yes.
Yes. Pepper was based on Simon Metz, who took the name Schlitzel Surtees, who worked as a sideshow performer in the early 1900s. It was Schlitz. I don't know how the heck I performed it the first or said it the first time.
Schlitzel.
Schlitz had a neurodevelopmental disorder that caused an unusually small brain and skull. He had the mental capacity of a 4-year-old, but was viewed as a ray of sunshine to everyone around him. During performances, he was mostly billed as female because he was usually wearing a dress. This was because of his incontinence. That type of clothing made cleaning and care easier. So they just went along with it and billed him as a her. Schlitz had small parts in a couple of films even, alongside the one and only Bela Lugosi, the original frickin' Dracula. How cool is that?
Wow.
Not to mention touring with some of the biggest named circuses like Ringley and Barnum and Bailey. Schlitz was under the loving care of a chimpanzee trainer named George Surtees. Unfortunately, in the early 1960s, George died and his daughter became Schlitz's legal guardian. I don't know her name, so I'm just going to call her this bitch because
goodness.
Yeah.
Gracious.
That's the title she earned.
Where this is going.
This bitch didn't want to deal with Schlitz, and I'm sorry if I'm saying the name wrong. I'm doing my best here. So she had him committed to Los Angeles County Hospital. Remember in the show how Pepper got committed to the asylum by her sister? Well, there you go. It was just like that. Unlike poor Pepper, Schlitz was spotted there by sword swallower Bill Unks. He was entertaining at the hospital when he found a very depressed Schlitz there who was really heartbroken about being away from the circus and his friends and everybody, as you would be.
As anybody would be. Yeah, taken away from your home that you've grown up with.
Exactly. So thankfully, upon Unks researching this and doing some legwork on it, the hospital made his employer, Sam Korch, Schlitz's legal guardian, and he was discharged from the hospital. He returned to the sideshow and never really retired. He was moved into an apartment near MacArthur Park in downtown Los Angeles. In his golden years, and this is so freaking adorable, I love this, he would spend his days feeding ducks in the park and performing for people as they passed.
Aww.
He died peacefully in 1971 at the age of 71.
Aw.
How sweet is that?
That's really sweet.
I love that so much. Okay, well, that one was sweet. The next one is not going to be
next one?
It's not going to be a sweet.
Of course not. They all can be.
No. Now, you probably, if you watched Freak Show, you probably remember Dot and Bet, the conjoined twins. Yes. Yep. They were based on conjoined twins Violet and Daisy, who were connected at the pelvis. They were born in the 1920s, and the exploitation of them started immediately after birth.
Oh, I can just assume.
Yeah. Their unwed mother didn't have the financial means to accommodate for their special needs. So she sold them to her.
Sold them?
Yeah, she sold them to her boss, Mary Hilton. Yeah, because that's what you do when you can't handle something, right? You just sell your. Mm-hmm. Well, Mary was not good to the twins. She was strict and abusive. She viewed them as little more than a meal ticket. And from a very, very young age, they were trained to sing and dance. By the time they were 3, they found success on the stage. For good reason. They were adorable with their sweet little blonde curls, and Violet could play the piano and Daisy the violin. They were adorable. They toured Germany, Australia, and the United States to record-sized crowds. But here's the sad part. While they brought in loads of money, They never saw a penny of it.
That's just
Mary,
terrible.
yeah, Mary kept every penny to herself. Escape could have come when Mary died, but it didn't. Mary left guardianship of Violet and Daisy to her daughter Edith and Edith's husband.
Even though that these girls must have been
Yeah,
of age at this point.
Yeah. Um, Unfortunately, Edith was even worse than her mother. She
Ugh.
controlled every second of every day for the twins. And as their reputation grew, Edith was able to get them into the vaudeville circuits where they met legendary performers like Bob Hope and Harry Houdini. Their popularity was at its ultimate peak.
Wow.
And then scandal struck. Their agent's name was William Oliver, and his wife accused him of having improper relations with the twins. She filed for divorce after finding a postcard from Violet and Daisy sent to William that was signed "with love." In turn, she sued the twins for $250,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. This
And
seems
she
like
won, right?
Oh, wait. Don't jump ahead.
Ugh.
This seems like a horrible thing. Instead, it ended up being the key to their freedom. Meeting with
good.
their lawyer, they confided in him about the abuse and the captivity that they had suffered their entire lives. Not only did their lawyer take their case, he took them into protective custody.
Oh, good.
In April 1931, Judge W.W. McCroy awarded the twins a large sum of money and granted them their freedom.
Good.
Yay! At this point, they were 21 years old and had basically spent every day of their life imprisoned.
Ugh.
Well,
That's
they
just
broke.
terrible.
It is. It's a nightmare. They broke away from all those that wanted to use them and control them. And I truly wish I could say that they lived happily ever after. Sadly, I cannot.
No.
No. They went back to performing after this and even managed doing a show alongside Charlie Chaplin, which is awesome.
Yeah.
This time, the money they were making was their own. But these are two people that never had experience handling their own finances.
Right. They weren't taught anything.
No. So they're living a...
make money for us.
Exactly. So they're living a big, extravagant lifestyle, not realizing the bills still have to be paid and everything that goes along with it. And for a while there, their public lives became very messy. They had public affairs, legal problems, marriages just for publicity. It was just a big old mess. Their final film, Charmed for Life, bombed. Add to that a failed food franchise that they tried for, and they were completely broke. They ended up bagging groceries at a store in Charlotte to get by. On January 6th, 1969, they were found dead in their home after failing to show up for work.
Ugh.
One small silver lining, in 1997, a Broadway play loosely based on their lives debuted, and it went on to receive 4 Tony nominations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's sweet, and it's some upside, but it's sad that they never got to see that. They never got to see. They were appreciated. Okay, now I think we have time for one more, and then I think we're gonna cut for the next episode because I still got lots more, and we're closing in here on almost an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, now this one freaked me out because I had no idea that this was real.
Is this still from Freak Show?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you remember the dark and ominous character from Freak Show, Edward Mordrake, that had the face on the back of his head?
Yes.
You say that like you're not convinced.
I don't remember names, but
Okay. You remember a character that had a face on the back of his
yes.
head?
Yeah.
That's based on a real person that actually did have that.
Really?
Yes.
That's so creepy.
Yeah. His name really was Edward Mordrake. And he was written about in medical books of oddities because he was born with a second face on the back of his head.
Okay.
And this second face seemed to have a sinister nature. Whenever Edward would cry, the second face would smile and sneer.
That's creepy.
That's so freaking scary. Mordrake felt like his entire life was plagued by what he called his devil twin. Yeah, I know. And this devil twin would keep him up at night, whispering things which Edward would only describe as things spoken in hell. What was it
so
saying?
creepy. Yeah.
I know.
What were the words that were coming out of your mouth?
Exactly. Oh, yeah. I'm not sure what that means, but I think it's safe to rule out it's like unicorns and kitty cats. He's not talking about
Yeah.
that. It's nasty.
No.
Ugh. Well, eventually, Edward was driven mad, and at the age of 23, he took his own life. But he left a note behind, ordering that the evil face be destroyed after his death because, quote, lest it continue its dreadful whisperings in my grave. He was
Oh my
so
gosh.
scared that this thing was going to keep talking after he died. He wanted
thought
it
it was going to be
destroyed.
haunted forever.
How freaking creepy is that?
That's really creepy.
And to know that that's real, like this wasn't writers in the room coming up with something. This was like
No.
a real story.
That's so crazy.
That's so crazy. Yeah. So
Like,
that's
now, if
Go
he was born now, maybe they would have a surgery to be able to, like, we're going to just chop this off. But
Yeah.
yet, I don't know.
how would that work though? Because if like it's back here, it's on the back of your head and it's got like
Yeah.
its own ability to speak.
Right.
But could it
Like-
really talk or was it in his mind? These are the things that
Right. Was it just there?
I don't
Like, because, like twins that eat each other in the womb.
Yes.
We had that long conversation. But, like, there's things that they can have extra.
Extra
Like-
sets of teeth. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called vanishing twin syndrome. And they can have extra teeth, they can have extra organs, they can have extra hands. Like, if it's not completely absorbed by the baby or by the mom.
Yep.
And it's so crazy.
Maybe that's
Like-
his twin's head is on the back of his skull.
Like, he was trying to absorb it and it just didn't completely absorb.
And now he's got this devil head on the other side. Oh.
Yeah.
And it drove him crazy at 23. He was just like,
That's-
all right, you've got to shut up. We're going to handle this one way or another.
Yeah.
That's so
And that
scary.
sucks that he was pushed to that.
Yeah. I mean, in today's day and age, you like to think that something would have been able to be done to help him. But back then it was, you're kind of on your own.
Yeah.
Whew. All right. So we
That's
are
crazy.
only up to what? Season
4?
3, 4?
4?
Okay, we're
We
Yeah.
still have 6 to go.
exactly.
So yeah, this is definitely going to be a 2-parter.
Exactly. And if I don't know, do you have time this week? We could do another episode.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Let's get
We
it
can knock
done.
out. I've got it all ready, and we can knock it out and
Yeah.
not make these people wait an extra long time.
Yeah, we don't want to make our listeners wait.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's all we got for tonight. I'm pretty excited to dig back in soon.
Yeah. Do you have your quote today?
I don't. I
Oh,
saw
no.
a bunch. Wait, hold on. Create a diversion. I'm going to find one. Just a minute.
That
That is the worst way to create a diversion
I know. I know.
ever. Okay, so my quote for today is coming directly from an episode of American Horror Story, and it is, Whenever you look evil in the face, evil is looking right back at you.
Ooh.
That's scary as all crap.
It really is. That makes you like think.
Yeah.
But then it makes me think, is the evil like looking me in the face because it's on the back of my head?
How can it look you in the face if it's on the back of your head?
Like you're in the mirror. I don't know.
Girl, where are you putting the mirror? I was just thinking of like how many people you look in the face and you don't know they're evil.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
You were
I
still
thought
on
you
the
were
back of
looking
your
in
head.
the mirror. I was. I was.
All right, listen, when this episode's over, we're going to talk about how the crap you hold your mirror when you're looking at it.
You know, right back here
It
so I can
doesn't
see the
need
back
to
of my
be
hair.
behind your head. All right, that's all we have for Mamisa this time. We will see you soon. Until
See you
next
soon.
time, bye.
Bye.